Hi, I'm Rhonda Gaskins, broker Century 21 Lake Area Realty in the Lake Martin area. On average, our sales price are commanding a strong 96% of list price. Call me today and let me get started for you. 256-749-3644.
I've been in this job about 30 years. I started in 1991. I actually was a paid informant doing undercover drug work, buying drugs undercover. And that morphed into becoming a full-time police officer. Did some time in dispatch in the interim, waiting on a slot to open up in patrol. So in July 1992, I actually started in patrol. Did that for several years. Was a reserve officer for about a year. I had thought I was going to go make $1 million somewhere. I had the next best idea. But I remained a reserve officer, working some evenings and weekends, special events, things like that. And then started back full-time again in 1997, the beginning of 1997, and been here ever since. Patrol, detectives, a little bit of everywhere. Been on the command staff since March of 2014. Been in charge of just about every division that we have here, detectives, patrol, what we call special services, which was training and grants, hiring, all those kinds of things, internal affairs, been over detectives and narcotics, patrol a couple of times, so pretty much done it all. So our previous chief, John McCarran, he was here, I guess about 7 years roughly, and he decided that it was time to retire at the end of November last year. So once he notified the mayor that he was going to retire, they began a selection process, which included opening up the position to internal and external candidates. They hired a company out of Birmingham to assist the mayor with a search. He wanted to find the best police chief that he could find. And so they did a pretty exhaustive search. I believe it was opened up nationwide. And there were some folks that put in from the Northeast and I think Arkansas, several places in Alabama. And then, of course, several of us, here put in. And it was an interview process with that company. We did an initial interview with them. They asked us to put together roughly a 90 to 120 day plan, what we would like to see happen in that first 90 to 120 days. And then they helped the mayor and they pared down the candidates, if you will. And that company, in essence, told them that the best candidates available for the job actually worked here. So the four of us that had put in here all made that final cut. And then we sat through an interview with the mayor, city administrator, city attorney, and then our retired DA, Nick Abbott. So we spent about an hour or so with them, answering questions, talking about our plans, things like that.
And so what does it mean to you to have been selected?
I'm very honored, obviously, especially with them doing such an exhaustive search that, ultimately I was given the opportunity. We've got some great men and women that work here at this police department, and that the four of us that were on the command staff made the final cut out of people from all over the country. It's humbling to work with these guys. I mean, they're just lots of experience here at this police department. We all know what it is we need to do. We were all part of the administration under Chief McCarran, so we knew kind of where we were at and the things that we were working on and how we wanted to progress. So it was they could have put a blindfold on, threw a dart at a dartboard, and hit any one of the four of us, and got what this police department needed. So.
That's got to give you some good confidence in the staff that
Absolutely,
you're in charge of.
Absolutely. The amount of work that we've been able to accomplish together just in a few short weeks. Again, it really goes back to, and I can attribute it to what we were working on and putting together under Chief McCarran. The things were just set up and ready to go. So, you still have to kind of find your feet, I guess, and learning some new responsibilities, making some new, contacts, and developing some new relationships. But as far as what we need here at the police department, we've known what it is, and we've been working on it for a while, so it was easy to keep that ball rolling. So my 90 to 120 day plan, it started off with us needing not so much reorganization within the department as maybe realigning and redefining some roles. We've been working on doing so many things over the last several years that some of the job responsibilities have gotten moved around and may have moved with a person who knew how to do the duty when they went to a new assignment, instead of that job responsibility staying where it needed to be. And we want to be very effective, we want to be very efficient, and that's the way we can provide the best service that we can to the citizens of Opelika. So we needed to sit down and examine our organizational chart. We had to work with City Hall to make some determinations on exactly how many spots were going to be open to us, or that we were going to have available to fill throughout the department. How many captains, how many lieutenants, sergeants, how many police officers. And actually through that process had learned that some spots had, over the years, through nobody's fault, had just kind of disappeared, I guess. Again, it was nobody's fault. It was just something that happened through, a lot of the moving and changing and growing. So, we had to solidify that, and then look at, who do we want to put in these positions, and we've gotten that accomplished. Now we're really focused on realigning the job responsibilities for those positions, so that we have people doing jobs that in a place where that job needs to be done. Again, with looking at trying to be more effective and efficient, the better we can do that, then the more police officers we can have on the street, we can be more streamlined, more detectives we can have doing the detective job, and less people doing other things. So, we're in the middle of doing that and streamlining those things, getting that fixed. We're also going to finish our new policy program that we've been working on for a while, revamping every policy that we have in the police department, from the beginning to the end of the book, making sure that, we've always tried to stay on top of it, and thankfully some of the major things like use of force, we've always kind of been at the forefront of that. So when a lot of these changes came last year, we were already, adhering to those types of policies, so we didn't have to make many changes there. But we want to look at everything, make sure that it's current, that it's working, make sure it's providing, the proper guidance, that they're legal and ethical and all those things. So we want to get that done as soon as possible. And then I think probably the next most important thing to me personally is our officer development. For us to be good in the community, we have to be good in this building. We have to be good to each other. We have to help each other grow. We have to help each other learn and get better, help each other do our jobs. And so we really need to get focused on better recruiting, better hiring, better training, better development throughout an officer's career. You want to become a detective? Let's teach them how to become a detective before they get that opportunity, so when they're ready to step into that role, they have a lot of the building blocks, a lot of the things that they already know, they've accomplished, they've become well versed at, so when they step into that job, they're able to do it and do it well. So I think that's probably the top three things that we're definitely working on. There's a couple of more that are inclusive of some of that, but I guess in general terms, that's what we need to do. I think our community relations vision is something that we've been working on for a long time. When Chief McGarren took over, one of the things he wanted to do is make sure that we established a brand for the Opelika Police Department, and to, make sure that that brand was a quality brand, that it meant something. And so we kind of began that process a while ago. And so we started spending more time out in the community and talking to civic organizations and churches and just being seen and participating. And as that kind of culminated in the events of last summer, you heard a lot of people talking about relationship building. What are we going to do? And we were kind of naturally flowing in that direction, thankfully. And so we were able to, with the help of some of our community relations folks at City Hall, they really were the brainchild behind how to do it. We know how to police. We're not very good at marketing. But they were able to help us develop what we call Together Opelika. And it's a program that is focused on better communication between the police department and the public, more transparency. How do we get our message out there? How do people know who we are, what we're doing, all the things that we're involved in, how we train our officers, the exhaustive training that we provide to them, talking about those things, developing ways to communicate. We were never on social media prior to October. We brought Allison on board, and Allison has really engineered our breakthrough on the social media scene. And we have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We have a brand new website. We're working on a mobile app. That mobile app, we really feel like is going to be a tool where we can communicate with our end users. It's going to be a way for them to get information about what we're doing. We can do push notifications when we have major things going on, so we can push out to the people that are on the app so that they know something's going on in their neighborhood and they can, be safer. Ways for the community to communicate with us anonymously, submit tips, and pass on information to us without having, to call up here and have a police officer come meet them at their house. So we're really hoping that that's going to open up a lot of that more free flow of communication. So that's in the process, obviously technology, and you have to have all that stuff built and all that. So it's taken a little bit of time, but hopefully within the next month or so, that's going to be rolling out. We've always prided ourselves on participating in things in the community, and we go and participate in just about everything that people call and ask us to participate in. But now we're doing it better, instead of, just kind of going and kind of being there like, hey, if somebody wants to talk to us, we're trying to take a little bit more active role, a bigger presence, sponsor some things, kind of actually hold some events ourselves. And, as things, we start to recover from this pandemic and things start to open up and we can do more things and have more people involved in things, we really hope that, we'll be able to do a lot more of that. But, ultimately, I think the core of that program is about that communication. And it's going to be great, if we can have an event and we have hundreds of people there that we can interact with. But if it takes, me going to, being invited to somebody's living room and talking to, 4 or 5 of their neighbors about something going on in their neighborhood, then that's what it takes, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get out there and talk to people, listen, see what they have to say. And the one thing I will say about Opelika, and it's really been like this since I moved here and I started working here, it's always been kind of diverse, kind of an eclectic mix of everything, whether it be races, whether it be, cultures, and we've always had a Hispanic population. Obviously, it's grown over the years. We've had, housing authority areas. We've had, more expensive neighborhoods. We've had manufacturing. We've had a lot of white collar, businesses. So we've had all this different mix of people and socioeconomic levels and all these different cultures and things that have all kind of mixed in Opelika, just the way that the city had grown with manufacturing to start with, and as that started to fade out, more tech companies coming, and being close to Auburn University, we do have some spillover from the university and the types of people that come to teach there and be professors and things. So we just have this really great mix of types of people, and so it's always challenging as a police officer. How do you police a certain neighborhood? You have to kind of learn what is normal, what is the culture here, what is what is normal for this particular area. So police officers that have worked in Opelika have always had that challenge of, learning the Hispanic culture, learning, the African American culture, learning, the history of Opelika and, the different types of businesses and the types of employees that those businesses bring in. So you've always had to be very well versed in how to talk to a lot of different people. And so I think that has just continued to grow. We've worked really hard at trying to be a more diverse police department, and bring in people that have experiences and backgrounds in those different areas, because the more diverse group of people we can bring to the table here, we can provide, again, a better service to our community. So it's really been kind of neat, because in one day of working here, you can step in and out of so many different worlds, where some of these larger police agencies in bigger cities, officers are they're with just one neighborhood, one group of people all the time. And here you really get a wide range of experience and a wide range of knowledge that you don't really get at other places. We want to be open-minded. We want to hear ideas. We want to hear what they want, what kind of things. If we're going to do our best job policing in your neighborhood, what's that look like to you? We want to answer that question. We want to hear what you have to say. So please, don't be shy about talking to us and giving us some feedback. And this experiment that we have in living here together and working together is just that. It's a give and a take, and it takes everybody to pitch in so that we can make the best place that we can, I guess, the best city we can have.